get rid of this. Yeah, so we were now dealing with hyperlink specific based pseudo classes, and we were stuck on this problem, and we were trying to solve why that is not working. So it says open with live server. Oh, see, now it has changed. I don't know. Now this, when it was visited, it has become red. I need to check when I haven't visited it, right? Is it caching or something? Just go back to the home. Oh, so now, right now, yeah, it's working. Now, yeah, I haven't visited it, but when I click it, oh, see, it's a very strange behavior it's showing. No. Okay, we will see that later on. Now, this is a good place to revisit attribute and class selectors and show how they can be combined with pseudo classes. For example, say you want to change the color of links that point outside of our own site. In most circumstances, we can use the starts with the attribute selector. However, some CSM set all links to absolute URLs. Okay, so basically now he's going to select it using an external link, and then where we have an HTTP. So yeah, this is HTTP, right? It starts with HTTP. And visited. Now the rule will make the second anchor in the preceding markup slate blue by default and maroon once visited, while the first will remain the default color for hyperlinks, usually blue when not visited and purple once visited. There is no HTTP in the start, right? So it will be applied to this. That's what it's trying to say. Now notice style visited links enable visitors to know where they have been and what they have yet to visit. This is especially important on large. Okay, basically this helps in okay, so W3C is basically for people, it's a standard for people who are not able, who are having some kind of cognitive disability. For example, suppose a person may have a problem in seeing clearly the website, or it may have um, any other cognitive or maybe any other cognitive disability. For them, in order to make website accessible to them, there are certain standards set by W3C. So yeah, and then he says like why styling the links is important, because styling may, so suppose if he has a person has a disability, in a visual disability, so what such person might do is he might be using a screen reader. So the screen reader, if you don't change the color of the links, then the screen reader may not detect that whether the link has been visited or not. Hence, for for all people, since the web should be an accessible place for everyone, it is better to change the hyperlink sign. The same syntax is used in ID selector as well. Okay, so ID also we can do. So what he's trying to say is here, so here we were doing with the class, right? We were putting in the we were using the attribute, right? So same thing he's saying, if something has an attribute, you can. Here we were doing like this is an external is a class, right? So then what he was, so here there might be somewhere external. So here this is a class. So then what he's saying is, instead of using this external here, you can use a ID as well. Now for a well ticket, it's possible to start visitor links with any CSS properties available, just as you could visitor. However, in mid 2000s, several people demonstrated visual styling and simply DOM scripting should be reduced to determine if the user had visited a page. Okay, now while this may not be seem terribly serious, it can be utterly devastating for a web user in a country that deals people for visiting. Oh yeah, so in certain websites are restricted access, right? So then they are saying that you put in a JavaScript Instead of having that visited unvisited link, just put in some JavaScript so that if a person tries to visit that, then it might be an issue. The non-hyperlink location pseudo classes. Now he's saying these are non-hyperlink and these are not location based. So hyperlinks aren't only the places where pseudo classes can be applied. CSS also provides a few pseudo classes that relate to the targets of hyperlinks summarized in the table 30.2 target. Mm, okay, these are all the non-hyperlink ones. Now what does target do? When a URL includes a fragment identifier, the piece of document at which it points is called in CSS is called as the target. Thus you can uniquely style any element that is the target of a URL. Also, what they're saying is, suppose if you want to highlight one specific thing, so instead of yeah, just target that specific thing and then that will get highlighted. That's what he's trying to say. So this is all selector. This is target border left. So wherever I have this URL target.png, this is not that important. I feel we won't be using much. Now the other important will be user action based pseudo classes. These are important. These ones. These are action based. Now elements that can become active or have focus includes links, buttons, menus, elements with the type index and all other interactive elements including from controls, anything. Now as with link and visited, these pseudo classes are most also this link so why we need to have this is because link and visited are only applicable to hyperlinks. So if you want something like a forms that which needs to be get selected, then we need more flexibility. So that's why. Now these are in order to the order of the pseudo classes is more important than it might seem. The usual recommendation is link, visited, focus, over and active. The next after okay, then this is okay. This is related, like what if we have more than one pseudo class applied, then what will be the order? Notice that the dynamic pseudo classes can be applied to any element, which is good, isn't it? Since it's often useful to apply dynamic styles to elements that aren't. Yeah, so the issue with link and visited is it will be only applicable for hyperlinks. For any other element that wouldn't work. So then we have some other pseudo classes as well. The focus visible pseudo classes is much like focus that applies that are focus. So when yeah, for example, consider HTML when a button is clicked via mouse, the button is given focus the same as if you use a keyboard interface to move the focus. Yeah, this is focus visible class. The focus visible class is much like the focus in that it applies to elements that are focused, but there is a big difference. It will match only if the element that has focus is an element. So he's saying that the focus visible class is almost similar to focus, but there is a difference between them. Consider the external button. When a button is clicked by a mouse, the button is given focus, the same as if we had used the keyboard interface to move the focus to it. As authors who care about accessibility and aesthetics, we want the button to have focus when it is focused by a keyboard or another assistive technology, but we might not like getting it focus style when it is clicked or tapped. So when I do focus visible, this will put a outline, a maroon dark red outline around the button when tapping it to via keyboard, but the rule won't be up. So focus visible is only applicable when we are trying to use, for example, navigation. Instead of using a mouse, we have something other else. Like instead of you focusing with mouse, we need to use any other technology. When the rule won't be applicable when it is clicked by a mouse. Now the focus within pseudo-class. Building on that, the focus within applies to any element that has focus or any element that has a descendant with the focus. Given the following says we will get the result. For example, now I have focus within. Okay, so now this when I do the third link currently has focus. Oh. Now here I am selecting the elements by using focus within. The third link currently has focus, having received it by the user typing to that link, and it is styled with a 2 pixel of focus within. The third link currently has focus, but right now I'm on the second link, right about. Let's make down some notes here. So what we studied was hyperlink specific pseudo classes. One was link and visited. Now we are studying action based. Action based pseudo class. This is like over focus active and focus within right, and then there was focus now then there was focus visible. This is focus. Then in focus visible, we use actions other than mouse. It can be keyboard or any other, right? The focus within Pseudo-Class. Building on that, focus within applies to any element that has focus on any element that has a descendant with the no. Okay, now then is focus within Pseudo-Class. should be a descendant with focus. The third link currently has focus. Focus visible is right, this one, right? Where is incognito? Focus visible is for actions other than mouse. Yeah, other than mouse, okay. Also, focus can be via keyboard or mouse. No, okay, this now focus. This is visible. No mouse. Okay. Now focus within Pseudo-Class. What is focus within doing then? So what he's saying is it will get applied to the parent element. So where is the class parent? Okay, so here he's saying, okay, form group. Also form group. Oh, now I'm getting what he's trying to say here. That as a descendant. So this means basically with focus, that means we are okay. So what he's trying to say here, suppose if I have a parent and a child relationship tag, then suppose if we have focus within applied, then if we focus on the child element using the mouse, the entire parent will get the focus. That is what he's trying to say here. Let's code something. So if we have a navigation bar, inside that I have a div. This is contact. This is and I have a div that says about Now this class is navigation hyphen bar. Now if I do a focus within on this, let's put this right now in. We have one more thing, right? Maybe delete the comments. Oh, this is creating the problem. This is an opening, there should be a closing for it. Then now what we are going to do is we are going to add that focus within. So if I want to, yeah, navigation hyphen bar, then I do focus within, then I do color is red. Now open, where is my live server? Okay, go back to the HTML. Stop, open. Now I have this is click me, right? Let this be anchor tags. Just change this to anchor. Where is Safari? Yeah, these are anchor tags. Now what? About then I do an nav focus within border 3 pixel. So I've done a focus within. Let's apply a border 1 pixel. The system is solid green. Now an open. The hyperlinks are not coming. First of all, it has to be href. It's a Azure. This is the referencing address. Let's refresh. Oh no. So and what I'm doing here. This is the navigation, right? Let's do a background color of the green. So when I come here, I tried focusing on it. Nothing seems to happen here. Oh, so see the okay. Yeah, you are getting that border. 1 pixel might be really. Let me have this 3 pixel. Am I styling it on the correct element? I feel navigation. Oh, let's have on the navigation here. Go here, change it to navigation. So the moment I get my why isn't this changing? Classes navigation. Focus is within. Uh, you know what? Just style it only with the tag. Still there is nothing here. What if I add a border? Border 1 pixel. Solid. Right. Let's get rid of all this. And then, so yeah, I'll have to add this as well. Focus. But then focus visible will be triggered by keyboard, right? This is outline 2 pixel solid. No, why is that not working? You should get the silver thing. When I tab on that, it's the same thing that I've written. All we need is a closing tag for the nav, right? So about there is a colon. Okay, and now I'm using this. Yeah. To inspect. The styles are not working. I don't know. Is there some issue in reading the slide sheet? Can be. The focus is not good. I don't know why. If I come on this, no. What's happening? The tab key. Oh, it's not doing focus visible. I guess that's what is happening. Let me keep it on focus. See, oh yeah. Now I got it. The moment I do a focus, it's coming. Ah, my tab is not working. There was an issue with my tab. Yeah, it was an issue with my tab. Remember, focus visible works only when it is triggered by other elements. And the focus within. Okay, yeah. As you can see, the user agent increase the size of the real world issues with dynamic styling. Dynamic pseudo classes present some interesting issues and peculiarities. For example, you can set visited and unvisited links to one font size and make hover links a larger size. Okay. As you can see, the user agent increase the size of the anchor while the mouse points over or over it, or thanks to the active setting when the user touches it on a touch screen. Because you are changing a property that impacts the line height, a user agent that support this behavior must read or document while an anchor is in the lower hover state, which can allow force a reflow of all the content that follows the link. So there is saying that there is a drawback. The drawback with dynamically having too much dynamic CSS to change it might cause an issue, because with this might like change the it might impact the line height, and it may cause the other re-rendering of other entire remaining page as well while an anchor is in the overstate, which could force the reflow of the content. That suppose if I hover over this web logs, and suppose if it changes the size, the line height might change, because of which the remaining also will change. So hence too much dynamic behavior is not encouraged here. Now UI state pseudo classes. Now the closely related to the dynamic pseudo classes are the user interface pseudo classes, which are summarized. I mean, we won't be doing so much dynamic things with CSS. Oh, so this is when you are now the closely related to the dynamic pseudo classes are the user interfaces. For example, and refers to UI elements as form enabled. For example, checked or not, checkboxes or not. Now, enabled and disabled UI elements. Now, enabled and disabled UI elements is when we are doing with check states. For example, the radio button. then it will be very good to check the state there. As of early 2022, the intermediate state can only be set through DOM scripting by user agent itself, so no markup level exists to so he's saying that all the checkable elements are unchecked by default, and HTML author can trigger them on by adding the checked attribute to the elements markup. So by default these all will be unchecked, so you can make it checked when the user sees it. However, this is a purely visual effect, does not yeah, this is all visual, right? Nothing is getting affected to the underlying UI. Okay, for example, the default value, for example, when I'm doing a form, I need a placeholder, right? So I need to show have a placeholder and show in class. That's what he's trying. This is your placeholder. Have a placeholder. Default placeholder and autofill. Not default value pseudo classes. So here, have I to have something in my HTML as well? Yeah, at the markup level, we will have to and this placeholder text. Then we can have a validity user class as well to check. Wait. Okay, now we have come to pseudo elements. Now pseudo elements, as pseudo classes assign phantom classes to anchor, pseudo elements insert fictional elements into a document. Unlike the single of a pseudo class, pseudo elements will employ double colon syntax and then whatever the element is. In CSS2, both selectors use a single colon, so for backward compatibility, browser may accept some single colon pseudo type selectors. Don't is an exchange to though use a proper number of colons at all the times to future proof CSS. After all, there is no way to predict when the browser will stop accepting the single colon pseudo class. Now, what is the pseudo element? Now, what is difference between pseudo classes and pseudo element? The pseudo classes are also they assign phantom classes. Phantom are basically, what's the meaning of phantom? Phantom means false or something. Phantom classes. Invisible. invisible. Okay, so now we are applying so phantom means invisible. This means invisible. Invisible classes or pseudo classes. Unlike the single colon or pseudo elements, what's the difference between a pseudo class and a pseudo element? There should be a difference in when to use what. Mm, Pseudo elements. Oh, so now here what we were doing is we were styling the entire class. Like that entire tag was getting. So suppose if I had, okay, so pseudo elements. So now in pseudo class we are selecting all the entire tag pseudo element, the part of the tag, like part of the tag, yeah. For example, colon first color, it types the first letter of a heading or a punctuation character. Okay, then what we can do is we can merge pseudo classes and pseudo elements together. So this will affect only the first line. So there is a limitation as well. So like our first line and this can only be applied to pseudo block level elements, not to inline display elements such as hyperlinks. There is a list of application of property as well that are permitted so like there is a restriction on which of CSS properties that can be applied to pseudo elements. Pseudo elements do not take in all properties. Okay. Yeah, this will be happening on the fly. Yeah, on the fly. So these are the only properties applicable on pseudo elements. Okay. Mm. We have before and after as well. So before and after pseudo element. Then we have something called a shadow pseudo classes as well. Where we were over here, right? We had only touched the focus. We had done this part coding we had done, right? Oh, then there was something called as target as well. I did not understand that target as well. Let's see what target pseudo class does. Okay, now there are two things here we need to check. For example, now a fragment identifier is something that comes after the hash. So if you need to target that, for example, this is my target pseudo. This part coming after the hash. This is the fragment identifier is marked by the hash symbol. So I'm targeting a part of the URL. Can also, and the parent is the page is accessed by that does not have a fragment identifier. Okay, now the fragment identifier is mandatory, right? Now the target will not be applied in these circumstances: when the page is accessed by a URL that does not have a target identifier. Second is the page is accessed by a URL that has a fragment that has a hash, but the identifier does not match any element within the document. The page URL is updated in such a way that a scroll state is not created, which happens most often via JS shenanigans. This isn't a CSS rule, but this is how browsers behave. Now, what is this? What is it trying to say here? No element has been targeted. Let's see an example here. I have ID section. Now I say div target, apply a background color. There is, oh, it's only having ID section equal to 4. Oh, so this ID, the ID and the fragment should match. Oh, so there is a drawback as well here. So now Another thing is with this is okay. Now the fragment is the same as the is same as the identifier. If they don't match, it will not be considered as a fragment. Okay. The next thing is if the page URL is updated in such a way that a scroll state is not created, which happens. What is it talking about? Scroll state. You are referring to that when the URL is updated with a fragment identifier, but the page doesn't scroll to the target element, which can happen due to JavaScript behavior. Oh, so what is going to happen is whenever URL that has section 2, the browser scrolls to the element with the corresponding ID. That is, if the element matches. Okay, let's see what is going to happen here. I need to have a URL that has a hash in it. This hash and my ID should be the same. Element with an ID of target pseudo. That elements become the target of the fragment identifier. Let's see an example. Targeting action. So when I click on this, it will navigate me, or that's what it's trying to say. This and this ID are the same, right? It should be hash. Is that so? just have this rule and see what happens. Now when I go to section 1, oh, see this, it's targeting this section. Similarly, if I got this targeting this section. This happens a lot in Wikipedia pages, right? Suppose if you click a part, oh, so yeah, this is target. This happens a lot in Wikipedia. Oh, so let's study upon Canadian history. Or Canadian War, Freedom. Wiki. Then go to here, and then whenever you click on this, it will directly read either it redirects you to that page, or it should open that specific paragraph. For example, history. See, this is not redirecting. Yeah, see, this the hash thing is coming up over here. So probably this has to be. Oh, if I go here, inspect. Oh, what happened to the page? This is a emoji. Yeah, when I go to this input type, this, oh, there's something happening here. Should this be a target? Where is? Oh yeah, see jump ref. Yeah, this is the anchor. Go to this content, and let us see if I have something. Do I have something here? This is the target. There should be another anchor tag. No. It's 45. Go to section. Just take me here, which is, yeah. See, even this has something. Does it have a? This is an anchor tag. There is no hash in here. If I go to section 15, somewhere there was a href body content. This is, when I go to history, features, stop. Oh, you see the link is changing. Hash exceptions, hash democratic rights. So these are, and this is something else. This is a wiki link, hyperlink that was, yeah, this is all the targets. If I have a quebec, see again, this hyperlink is hash quebec. Hash interpretation and enforcement. Criticism, hash criticism, references. Uh, so this is the use of target. It basically will help you to navigate to that. Anything first is there should be something that has an h and a hash. Then once you click on that section, it will redirect you to that section. So that's all for this lecture. Hope you guys are having a good one and have a good holidays. Thanks. Bye.